Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 11th of October. My name is Gary Peer.
And I'm Jeremy Rosens.
You are, and it's so good to introduce the show, and it's good to have you here as
Thank you, Gary.
As my anchor.
Co-anchor, Gary.
Co-anchor for the show.
Stepping in.
Stepping in, as you do so beautifully. And of course, the St Kilda and Bayside Report is a regular feature on the Gary Peer St Kilda office, of which Jeremy Rosens is the director of, just in case some people don't know. And Philip is off in Queensland in his Speedos, getting a beautiful suntan, no doubt.
Here is an image, Gary, that the viewers, if not me, it'll be difficult to get out of my mind.
Well, I wonder if anyone's left viewing after that comment. They might just think it's descending even further. But yes, well, Philip does need a break, and I think he's probably got a few breaks on him.
You've got a couple, Gary, because I've stepped in this seat many a time whilst you've been sunning yourself in your budgie smugglers on the other side of the globe.
Look, budgie smugglers is not a good look for me, and I've got to say, usually I'm doing things that are educationally beneficial for our business.
Of course they are, Gary.
That's the sacrifice I'm prepared to make for the business.
Yep.
Look, we can talk a little bit about the market. We've got a couple of things to discuss, but tell me in general, and the viewers in general, the mood, the feeling of the market on the weekend. What are you feeling and thinking out there?
The mood feels a little bit more upbeat. I mean, if you
We've seen
stood out in the open.
We've seen a change, haven't we?
Yeah. I think the numbers at inspections are slightly on the improve.
Yep.
Certainly the sell-through rate, clearance rate, whatever you want to call it, has improved. Depth of bidding the last few weeks. I reckon it's probably, it feels like it's maybe the third or fourth weekend where we've felt just the wheels turning a bit faster. If you listen to the news and you watch the newspaper, you would think otherwise, but that's always the case. It's never as good as they say, never as bad as they say,
That's very true, Jeremy. We've got a little bit of boasting to do. We don't mind a bit of boasting. The clearance rate as reported by the Domain on Saturday night was 64%.
Yes.
And we at Gary Peer Associates have cleared, well, I think on Saturday we actually cleared 100%.
Yes.
Over the weekend, it was a 92% clearance rate. So let's get the towers up with the boast music.
What's the boast music, Gary?
You got to watch more often. There's the boast theme. It's happening while we're speaking. The boast music theme.
Love it.
We love the boast music theme. Although I like the theme of boast music. I'm not sure about that theme. I think we need something a bit bigger, a bit more El Grande, a bit more grande.
We could speak to like Baz Luhrmann or something.
I think so.
Can I just say, with that 92% clearance, I just want to circle back to that, because that really, that's essentially one property that we passed in.
Yeah, it is.
Can I ask, did we have this is a bit of a segue here, Gary. It's a Dorothy Dix question.
Dorothy Dix is setting up.
Was it an auction where anyone turned up?
There's more boast time coming here, isn't there? Yes,
facts,
the actual only unsold property, we did have a buyer there. We did have a bid. We had a bid in our range.
In the range, okay.
And the vendor chose not to accept that, which is their right. And we'll keep trying for you.
So if we're talking
Mr.
about
or Mrs. or whichever pronoun you prefer, vendor,
yes.
We will keep trying for you.
So effectively, what we're trying to at least explain here is that buyers seem to be back and energised and bidding. Even though we passed that property in, there was a buyer there willing to buy it at a price.
Well, as Philip likes to say in his Philip voice, oh, Gary, it's equilibrium. We've got to real estate equilibrium where everything's kind of level now. And I think what he's trying to say...
like him, by the way.
No, fair. I try to. I've known... Someone said I sounded like him the other day.
I get told I sound like him.
That's at auctions you do. You do sound like him as an auctioneer, but I got told I sound like him the other day. But I think what he was trying to say in his own elegant yet confused way, he was trying to say that buyers and sellers are accepting the levels of the market.
And they're meeting.
Which is good, although only 64% of the rest of the industry, maybe not.
And even that, I would challenge that, Gary, because 64% is not a real figure.
I know, a lot aren't reported.
Do you reckon it could be...
A lot of naughty agents are in hiding.
There's 10% of mayonnaise on these figures?
I reckon 64 is probably more like 58 or 60,
Okay.
I think so. But anyway, whereas ours is a genuine figure, a genuine bona fide stamp of approval figure.
It's kosher, Gary.
It's kosher, all right. Don't you worry about that. Anyway, we did get a very successful 92%. And of course, it's racing season now. The sun's out, which is great, although there's been a lot of rain, hasn't there? And all those
Sydney, I believe, is underwater.
Sydney people that like to have a little bit of a giggle about the Melbourne weather. How are you going in your little canoes going down the main road?
I wonder whether that bridge that they've got, or that house with all of the funny edges, whether that'll be underwater sometime soon.
Exactly right,
There's not much else left in that place other than those two things.
Our trams are going okay, aren't they? We've got trams. They don't. Yeah, we do.
We boast about our trams,
That's
Gary.
what we've got, the trams.
We've got cafes, we've got culture.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Someone actually told me the difference between Melbourne and Sydney is it's a pair of sisters. Yep. Probably I shouldn't go into great detail about this because
it's going to be politically incorrect. But go on, what were you going to say?
But basically, the long and short of it is that we are the less attractive sister with more substance.
Ah, okay.
Whereas the Sydney sister is beautiful and glamorous, but when you scratch the surface, there's not a lot there.
And there was some misogynistic bastard that made that comment, and obviously you picked it up and run with it, and you've enjoyed it.
You know what? I didn't even think about the misogynistic overtones.
You've got to be so
Gary.
careful today with everything you say
not in my,
or don't say, and whichever direction you look. I don't know. This is a very different world, Mr. Rosen.
Silence has become golden, Gary.
Silence has become everything, hasn't it? Let's just talk a bit about real estate and get back to it.
Yes.
We're not going to talk much about houses, although those people that backed Count Nicholas did come fourth on Wednesday, which I tipped it last week. You should watch the show.
Is that a horse?
Lakes Folly came second. Yeah.
No, as soon as you start talking about music and horses, I just go to mute.
My horses like to come fourth. I am the most prolific racehorse owner of fourth place getters anybody I think ever in the world.
At least you've got something that you're good at.
Yeah, well, coming fourth very consistently. They just wait, my horses, till three others get in front and they go, now we'll finish.
Perfect.
Seems to be that way. But anyway, good luck for all those people that are involved in the Caulfield Cup and all of the racing coming up. I hope you enjoy it.
That's this weekend, isn't it?
It is, I think. The guineas are on Wednesday, 1,000 guineas. Anyway, let's get away from racing for a second because anyone that takes my tips in racing is not too well off for it. Most important room in the house is something I want to talk about because
in any house.
Well, I think so. I think when you get selling real estate, and for those people that are thinking of preparing their house, and they look to this show for some wisdom or insight, which is
it's the first mistake they've made.
Which is already, if you haven't worked it out, it might be the first time they've watched it. If you haven't worked it out, that's not a good idea. But if you are, and you're thinking of selling or buying, what is the most important room in the house? Have you got a view on this? Because I know there was a time, because we've worked together. How many years now?
22 and 22 something
years.
I'm
guessing,
I
reckon 20 years ago, I reckon maybe the bedroom was the most important room in the house for you, Mr. Roses.
Absolutely no question, Gary.
Is that still the case?
No, it's definitely not, Gary.
So what would be the most important room in the house in your opinion?
So, well, it changes. Are we talking about most important room for me or most important room, that, in my opinion, for the need to get the best possible price of selling?
I've just been this morning with a few of the guys in Carnegie looking at some apartments, for example. Very nice apartments coming up, being refurbished and coming up. If you want to buy one of them, give me a call. I'll let you know because it's off market at the moment. But, we went through some of that and the developer said, oh, look at this room. This is the most incredible room. This is the kitchen, which is going to be an exceptional kitchen. Now, I think maybe for many people, in some cases, the kitchen is the most important room in the house.
Well, I think if you look at it from a photographic point of view and from the point of view of where you can, I guess, put the most amount of money and fixtures and fittings in, it has to be wet areas, whether they be bathrooms or kitchens.
Yep.
Now, given that everybody uses the kitchen just about, well, it's probably, I think everybody. To me, I think if you can nail the kitchen, then you're well on your way to getting a good result. And then the same can be said about en-suites and bathrooms, because essentially a bedroom is a space with four walls, cupboards.
You actually spend the most time there when you think about it.
In the bedroom, yes, but not with your eyes open.
That's true. That's true. Although when you go
although
into
you
homes,
probably with your, I've seen your bedroom with that mirrored thing. I don't know what the deal is.
The disco ball,
and the waterbed that you've got.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened.
It is 2020 now plus, Gary.
Austin Powers inspired. That's not true. None of that. But then again, you'll go to a house and you'll walk into the living area and you'll say, "This is where people enjoy their life the most."
Yes.
So, have you got any views on that?
So I think the living room is probably more about the space, the size, and the light.
If you've got a good living room and a bad kitchen, will the home sell better than if you have a good kitchen and a bad living room? It's another good question.
Well, I would say it depends, because I think that you spend the most amount of money in a kitchen.
Is that right?
But you spend more time in the living room.
Yeah, whereas my wife spends a lot of time in the bathroom. She loves life in the bathroom. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's.
I thought about, is there something going on in is there something in your bathroom that's keeping her there longer?
Well, there was that step ladder, from the balcony. It always made me suspicious. Shall we continue to talk a bit about the market? We did have a 92% clearance rate. Well done to all of our sellers.
Yes.
And to those people that bought from us, and well done to our agents who worked so hard and our auctioneers. Yes. A couple of properties. I've got to talk about one particular one, Mr. Jeremy Rose.
Yes,
number
Gary.
66 Elizabeth Street in Bentleigh East. Our Bentleigh office continues to sell the best houses in Bentleigh. It's just something that has happily worked out for us. It wasn't necessarily our aim or focus,
but ability at the top end of the market has just pushed into another suburb, Gary.
Seems to have been well accepted by Bentleigh sellers. Jeremy, 66 Elizabeth Street, had no less than 8 bidders competing for it. Now, that's pretty hot,
Over
isn't it?
100 people through their sale campaign as well, Gary. Massive numbers.
We increased the range. We were hoping sort of somewhere in that 1.7, maybe even 1.8 as things went on. But lo and behold, and it's undisclosed, but it is a GPTV secret we can tell you about.
Gary?
No, but we can talk about it here because we're a close family of the GPTV viewers.
That's because the 4 people that are watching aren't going to tell anybody.
Exactly right.
Obviously.
We've got no one else to talk to. That's why they're watching the show. $2,080,000 with 8 bidders competing hotly for that property. So well done. I had the pleasure of sorry, go on.
Do you think? I mean, that's a big number.
It is a big number.
And clearly the right number.
Yep.
Do you think in the height of the market 6-12 months ago that it would have been any different?
No, I think that's as good as it would have ever, and there are some sales as good as they've ever been, and that, some homes you open them, and the day you open them, you're already in unpredictable territory in terms of what it might realise, and there's always the cynics that say, oh, you underquoted just because it was incredibly popular, but there are always going to be homes that are incredibly popular, and irrespective to a degree of where they're quoted. That home was incredibly popular, and well done to the sellers who got 8 bidders competing for it. Jeremy won at 320 Bamber Road. Let's put that up on the screen. Now, that was interesting. What happened to the auction there?
Not a lot, Gary.
Nothing.
I mean, I passed it in with such a degree of finesse and style.
If you want something passed in, this is the guy to do it for you.
No better.
It's great.
On Saturday night, I was reflecting.
You didn't pass it in. You
converted it,
from an auction to a private sale so well that within 24 hours...
It was sold, Gary.
It was indeed.
It was sold. And sometimes that happens. I don't think it's stage fright. I just think we just took a little bit more time to find that right buyer. But still a great price. Is it disclosed or undisclosed?
It is actually disclosed. It's $1,775,000.
I believe this was developed by a well-known builder in Caulfield who does brilliant work.
Okay.
And when I walk through this townhouse, it's 11 years old, and you wouldn't know it's 11 years old. Really? A beautiful floor plan, and it's so meticulously maintained.
Beauty.
1775 is a great number for that home.
Unlike us. Very hairy we are, by the way.
Well,
today.
I have hair on my head.
Yeah.
You have it in all number of different places.
I've got it flying around a bit. I like to share my hair around. I don't like to keep it in one place.
I'm scared that if this goes any longer, not your hair, but this segment, that it will, like a vine, it'll start to wrap around my neck.
Cousin It, for those that remember the show with Cousin It, with Adam's Family.
No one would.
Do you remember it?
I do.
Oh, you remember it? You're young.
Yes,
you remember it? I consider you young. You're not
I'm
really.
45 now,
shows
Gary.
how old I am. One at 386 Dandenong Road. Well done to the Samuel brothers. When the Samuel brothers roll into town, anything can happen. And they've sold this wonderful apartment, 8 to 880, a townhouse, really, isn't it?
It was the Samuels brothers and Michael Jonas. This is on Dandenong Road.
Michael, yes.
Great result.
Yes, expected to be 8 to 880, sold for 955 and a half with 4 bidders.
4 bidders.
So that's what's going on out there. There are some hot ones, and of course, we bring you the hottest results. Not all of them have got 4 bidders and 8 bidders.
But at 92%, Gary, we could have talked about any number of properties that we've sold.
But they weren't all that hotly competitive.
Doesn't matter.
Let's face it.
Doesn't matter. A sold sticker is a sold sticker.
Let's not just get too
carried away. Let's not mislead.
Let's not mislead or embellish. Let's just talk about what's going on.
We can't do that. What can we do, Gary?
It's true.
We're embellished experts.
It's part of our love of our business, isn't it? Now, you're going to do the Philip Kingston and go through the brochures as I talk about them. I might know some of these properties. He does. Jeremy, I think we've got about 15 or 16 auctions coming up this weekend. There's not that many. But I want to talk about actually a feature property. Go to the bottom of that pile because I want to speak about 19 Helenslea Road, Caulfield North. Helenslea Road is a fantastic address. Great looking property too. And of course on a beautiful parcel of land.
Helenslea, Gary, is probably, it's a bit of I reckon it's one of the best streets in Caulfield North.
Yep, I agree with you.
And I think
underrated.
It is underrated.
Yeah, underrated.
It's almost like it hasn't been discovered. No. Now this has got a great house. It's 841 square metres of land, Gary, and
quite a big home
with a celebrated sort of 1960s style home.
Love those style homes.
25 to 275. This should be, as you say, Gary, a snap purchase.
Should be.
Beautiful block of land for you to build the home of your dreams, Gary.
Or renovate if you've got the energy.
Yeah, you could do that too.
The funds. 6 Perry Court, Brighton East. That's another property that is a bit of one out of the box, Jeremy. This is an extraordinary looking property.
This is resort style living, Gary, at its finest. 26 to 28. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous family home. Brilliant Bayside location. Gorgeous looking facade. Looks kind of sort of architecturally designed in a nice little tree-lined cul-de-sac street.
There's
being
some preview.
Perry Court.
They are some preview properties. Jeremy Rosen's 4 at 120, whereas I've got all the passion and no skill. 4 at 120 Murray Street, Caulfield, being auctioned by yours truly, Mr.
Yes,
Rosen's. Tell us about
fabulous
this.
apartment, Gary. Modern style block, 2 bed, 2 bath, 1 car, large courtyard garden. This is a great home to buy. Either live in or invest. You won't go wrong in Murray Street.
There is an apartment in Hotham Street, but I think that's been sold, if I'm not mistaken. So, 5
Well,
at 33 Hotham. It may not.
It may not
likely.
have been sold,
Yeah.
but it most likely will be sold.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does that
in
work?
the cooling off period?
But anyway,
Let's
that's a
just be
great
straight up
apartment,
about it.
big apartment, good size. If it's not sold by the time this goes to air, then you go down and go and have a look at it.
Exactly right. Matthew Morley handling that one. Dedicated 11:30 to be the only home being auctioned.
All bets
is
are off
in
unless-
Bayview Street in my hood of Elsternwick, which I love, and I love the look and feel of this home.
Well, Gary, I know the neighbours of this house very, very well.
Could you recommend them?
I would have to recommend them.
Okay, good stuff.
As a result of them being related to me,
There you go.
albeit distantly.
I'm not sure that distantly is better. When you say related,
Yeah, I
might
did
put
put
some
the
buyers
distant-
off.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure the vendor
Yeah, well,
would
they're
love
not
to
real
know that.
estate agents and they're not me, so
That's
it's
good.
okay to live next door to them. But this is a stylish little haven. I like Bayview
So
Street
do
off
I.
Glen
It's a
Iron
good
Road.
spot there, isn't it?
It's a great little neighbourhood, and nice little cul-de-sac street as well.
Yep.
It's a bit of a dead-end street. There's a beautiful weatherboard home that's been delightfully updated, and I think at the price that we're suggesting, this is a no-brainer.
Is there a
It's a
view of the
great
bay
home.
from Bayview Street?
Only if you're 9 feet tall.
Okay, this keeps happening. We had Seaview Street, Caulfield
Yep.
South, no view of the sea.
Well, there
Bayview
used to
Street,
be, when
no
these
view of the
streets
bay.
were invented,
Yeah,
Seaview is up a hill, so that did have a view.
fair enough.
But
But
then
I'm
the
not sure
neighbourhood
Bayview
changed.
ever. Well, maybe it did.
Well,
Might have been a tower up there.
it doesn't necessarily mean it's a view by the eyes. You could have your own personal view of the
Yeah,
bay.
fair enough. In your mind.
Yes.
Right. That
What
makes sense
nonsense
now.
that is.
I never thought about that before. I needed to see you and hear it from you to understand it. 2:30 p.m. Leo Samuel is doing the afternoon auction thing in Lillymill Road, Ormond.
Here's a perfect starter, Gary. If you're an investor or an owner-occupier, you can't go wrong. 3 bedrooms, Gary, with this one, 1 bathroom, 1 car, in a great location.
I would argue with anybody that wanted to take me on about whether Hopkins Street McKinnon is the best street in McKinnon or not. It's certainly up there amongst the best.
I think it is, Gary.
10:30 on Sunday, Joel Sir is auctioning this. It has been very popular villa unit, single level, 3 bedroom, 2 bath villa
Great
unit.
floor plan, Gary. Multiple living zones, great entertaining areas, and a long driveway, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is almost for your exclusive use, perhaps.
I think it may well be 6 auctions this weekend or this Sunday for Mr. Philip Kingston. He's coming back off that plane from Queensland and he's not going to have a moment's
He
peace.
will be, hopefully he'll be refreshed on his break. I can imagine Phil on a holiday drinking a lot of green tea,
think so? Oh, yeah.
a lot of walks up hills,
Yeah.
and sort of reading a newspaper, long breakfast. It'll be one of
Architecture,
those really
breakfast,
kind of
sort of walks around, sort of
boring
aimlessly,
sort of thing.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
different to what I would do.
and probably sitting with his wife having like intellectual conversations
yes.
about
Yeah.
things that matter.
yeah, the meaning of life and
That
all
sort
that
of
sort of
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, well, great. I hope he enjoys it. Phil, you are going to be doing
No. Jeremy, you just said Phil.
No, I am saying Phil because
no.
he's watching the show. I'm saying Phil.
He's too busy having
No, I'm
intellectual
talking now.
conversations
Oh, he
for
must
this
just
sort of
watch the show.
lowbrow nonsense.
Okay, Jeremy, Phil
Thank you.
is going to be auctioning 259 Oron Road, St Kilda East. I'm looking forward to seeing him back.
This is a house, Gary.
House of houses.
This is like a mansion.
It is like a little castle.
This
isn't it?
deserves
Yeah.
to be on the top of a hill
Yep.
with no houses around it.
They should call that Bayview or
They
Seaview
should,
Street,
Gary.
because you'll
There's
probably
such a
get it.
great story about
Yeah,
this
you do
when
get
it
it.
was purchased a number of years ago, which we
It's a
probably
good
don't
story.
need to.
Well, we can, because the person that bought it, who we're selling for, there was a general who lived in this house. It's a good story. A general that lived in this house, and the particular person used to pick up this general and chauffeur this general around as part of his duties.
Yes.
And lo and behold, the person who was the driver ended up buying this home. So it is a very nice and good story.
Kind of
So I
like
it a lot.
that, that Remington.
Yeah, Victor
you know,
Kayam. I
when-
like the company. I liked it so
I
much.
liked it so much,
the
I
company.
bought
What was his name?
it. This Art Deco mansion, Gary, has so much upside. I mean, first of all, the location is a great location.
It is.
A gorgeous facade on a block of land that is fast becoming a thing of the past.
Yep.
You could move into this, Gary, and start living, or you could update it. You can, there's so many opportunities and options here. Huge backyard.
Rebuild, renovate, recreate, all sorts of opportunities. there.
1,092 square metres of
It's a
land,
huge
Gary.
block of
You
land.
don't find them anymore.
No, you don't. So please come to that auction. We look forward to seeing you there. I'll be there with Philip at 11:30
Are you
a.m.
going to be chauffeured in, Gary, with the theme of...
No, I won't be. The theme of the owner, I could,
Yeah.
I could, but I won't.
So is the owner now the chauffeur? of the
Yes,
general.
the owner now was the chauffeur of the general who became the owner.
Are you doing the auction?
No, Jeremy Philip's doing that auction.
So should Philip? He should dress up as a driver and have a little hat on.
Okay, he could. He likes a bit of uniform action.
He does.
Likes dress ups.
Maybe that's what he's doing on his holiday.
I can tell you about his single days, but I won't. Let's move on to number 14, Bamber Road, 12:30 p.m. this time. Again,
is
Philip
a
Kingston
great
Auctions.
home, Gary. This is just a stone's throw from Caulfield Park. This is a double-storey home. This has been really keenly sought by a number of buyers. I think this is going to go off like a frog in a sock, Gary, as they say.
Wow, I haven't heard that before.
Over 2 levels, double garage. This is a ripper home. This is as good as it gets, Gary.
I've
They're
been past
outdoor
it a number of
entertaining.
times. Looking forward to seeing you at that auction, Philip Kingston Auctions, and he's going to have a little coffee or some lunch after that because
Loves a
Simon
coffee.
Radolnik is going to step in and auction 6 at 194 Alma Road. Tell us about this wonderful apartment with 2 courtyards.
I used to live across the road from this one, Gary. This is the corner of Lansdowne Road. It's a ground floor stylish apartment, as you say, 2 courtyard gardens. How good is having courtyard gardens, especially when the sun's in the sky? This is the time to buy it.
It is indeed. You can go around the corner at 3:30 p.m. from that auction into Lansdowne Road and meet Maureen Mazerow, who is the handling agent of this wonderful property, Lansdowne Road, being auctioned by Philip Kingston again.
Maureen Mazerow has a, must be a South African thing. I've seen a number of South Africans with personalised number plates.
South Africans, they like the personal. In South Africa, no one has a number plate.
Everyone's got...
Basically, when you're born,
Should I say what a number plate
and they
is?
put it on a number plate. No, don't.
No?
We
don't
want to say that. No,
I don't want people throwing... Anyway, this is a 3-level home, Gary.
It is. A tri-level. Tri-level living at its finest.
Triple level living
At its
action.
finest. Yep.
Got a couple of bedrooms upstairs, a study downstairs, living in the middle. This is beautifully cutting-edge design, Gary.
Quality project.
Yes, I think so.
And someone's going to buy a wonderful home there at 3:30 p.m. And to bring down the curtain on a busy Sunday for Mr. Philip Kingston and refresh from his holiday, we're going to be auctioning one at 22 Bertram Street, Elsternwick. Tell us about it.
Beautiful floor plan, single level living. Again, Gary, this is nice and original, sort of got that 60s vibe to it. So you can just render it and make it modern. You can update it inside, or you can leave it as is. This is
3
really
bedrooms,
good.
2 bathrooms.
2 bathrooms and
double carport.
multiple off-street parking. It's a double carport with also spots
you could
around
do it.
that
That's
as
right,
well.
tandem. Yeah, you could. That is a big wrap for this spring edition, this October edition. We're really getting into the nitty-gritty of
You know, my
spring.
birthday's at the end of October, Gary.
What day are you?
The 30th of
I
October.
thought it was the 30th, yeah.
Yeah, I might actually be with you on the 30th of October.
You may
if
well
you
be.
think about that, we might be somewhere together.
We will be somewhere together.
be fun.
That's a big wrap on this edition of GPTV. You've heard about his birthday. Start saving or looking. Have you got a guest registry anywhere or?
A gift registry?
registry, I should
yeah, I've
say,
got it in a number of places.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm sure Jeremy would be happy to let you know offline where those are.
I am, indeed.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
this
It's a
week.
privilege and a pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you for watching. What is the most important room in a house? It'd be interesting to get some viewer feedback on that. You can tell us if you're still watching, those 2 or 3 people that might still be watching.
Where do they email into, Gary?
The address is there, ideas@garypeer.com.
And the first 5 emails will receive
well, maybe we
a
should
return email thanking them for the email.
Oh, well, give us some feedback. We'll get you some tickets to the movies for the first 5. How about that? Why
Do you know
not?
what? I went to see a movie on Friday while it was raining with my wife.
Did you?
Odd thing to do
What
on
did
a
you
day
do?
off. Something with that handsome guy who does the coffee ads.
Made a big impression on you, I can see clearly. Wog Boys is the one that my daughter went and saw. I'm keen to see that. I love those.
I love those guys.
I love
They're
those
funny.
guys too. That's it on GPTV. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy.
Bye for now.